G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. In front of you today are some Württemberg Chevaulegers. Now these are Napoleonic, and they are from Piano Wargames. They are the metal castings from the like the 3D designs rather than 3D prints. Now, I did say in my last video that I was going to maybe do some fantasy stuff next, but I had around that time I had a message from Mark over in New Zealand, and this was the last few figures from his current Napoleonic batch. I've been working my way over many months, as you see back through the videos, on his Piano Wargames Württembergers. So this was all that remained, and I'd done all the assembly work and whatnot, priming I think before, and base, getting them ready for painting stage. So, and he said it'd be good to get those done. So that's what I did. So I really need to get to the fantasy stuff for Albie up there in Queensland next. So that's the plan. So Albie, if you're watching, you are next. So yeah, these took me a lot of work. There's as anyone who's done Napoleonics, and if you've I guess I tend to paint for collector gamers or just outright collectors. So I only sort of paint to one standard. I try and do a pretty high standard. I'm not the best out there by a long shot, but so it takes me a long time. And Napoleonics, as those of us who's painted them know that Napoleonics in particular take a long time. There's so many little bits and bobs and buttons and straps and piping and all these things. And obviously on cavalry you've got all the horse tack and whatnot, and the horses to figure out. So I did take my time, but I'm really pleased with the final result. I once again did some slightly different color combinations for the horses, but they've all worked out pretty well, and there's a nice bit of variation in the tones of the horses. I'm pretty sure most of the horses were painted up this time with Vallejo acrylics and maybe a bit of I think maybe the grey had some AK interactive 3rd gen stuff. Now the guy with the pointy stick, the pole there, that's Mark will probably, I think that Mark's got a flag ready to go, or he's planning to put one on there. That's the idea with that. So now I can't remember which regiment these are. I think they only had a couple of regiments. So I was consulting the images, the very well painted figurines on the Piano Wargames website. I think the painter, now I get confused. The sculptor is Lucas, but I think, is it, but the painter is Stefan, I think. But he's a very good painter. So very inspiring. You don't necessarily always get all the angles though, so there's some things you're left a bit unsure about that. So, but there is out there in internet land, there is some the histofig plates of the Württembergers, which are some of the best researched color plates, and that will give you often things like, a clearer view of turnbacks or piping or whatever. So that's a very good reference. One curiosity was that there weren't as many references to these type of shoulder things on the trumpeters. I don't think the guys on the histofig plates had them. So yeah, but then there were some other plates that did. So yeah, I don't know. I think later on the trumpeters actually had like a reverse color. I think there were some that had like yellow or yellow jackets or something like that. But yeah, I think this is the. I imagine it's good for 1809 because that tends to be the sweet spot for most of Piano Wargames ranges is around the 1809, so sort of mid-Napoleonic Wars era. And obviously they're quite good either side of that as well for lengthy periods. So, but yeah, beautiful sculpts as always with these guys. And I think these were some of their sort of more early on kind of releases. So they've just gone on from strength to strength since then and released even more. There's certainly their newer French and Austrians and stuff, and they just look superb. They're superb sculpts, right up there with the Perrys. That's for sure. Now, what else can I tell you about these? So, yeah, the blue of the jackets is the same color formulation basically as I used for the dark blue for the jackets on, was it the infantry? It's basically the same color, so you're starting from a dark Prussian blue, or no, extra dark Prussian blue, I think it's called, or something like that. It's very dark. It's not standard Prussian blue, and then washes, and then back with that color, and then straight up Prussian blue, Vallejo Prussian blue, I think I was using, and then a tiny little bit of ivory or something mixed in that, just to get some punchy sort of further highlights. The reds was done using the scale 75 reds that I often use. They're a tricky sort of paint. They don't behave like other paints in that you can get necessarily one good thick coat and then you're done, even painting over grey. But what they have is this thing that I quite enjoy about them, is that for layering, they kind of produce this natural blended effect instead of a stark highlight. I don't know, it's the way they're made. They're kind of funny. They're probably not good for every application, but I like the way when you lay down the darker one and then you put the other one on top, it kind of semi blends in with the one underneath. So you can put quite a light color, but it will blends down into the one underneath and creates, for me, a pretty good transition. It looks, I like it anyway. So, so yes, there's lots of fiddly bits. They've got the initials of their monarch, I assume it is, on their use the stick, John, not the on their saddle blankets and whatnot, and on the officer, you can see it's in silver lace and the trim around there as well. So, and he's got silver braid and extra silver decorations on his helmet. Yeah, there wasn't much in the way of any sort of goldy bits when I looked at the reference for these guys, apart from the trumpet and some fittings on the musket, the butt of the carbine. Sorry, sorry, I'm putting it all out of focus there. The butt of the carbine and the trigger mechanism underneath, and the bands, a couple of bands up the length of the carbine. So yeah, predominantly the decoration, even on the horses, was seemed to be sort of like a silvered look. Yes, so there's not much more I can tell you about them. I've taken my photos, so hopefully they'll turn out all right for you. Yeah, they're just really, Napoleonics are great to look at, aren't they, when they're all done up? And these piano sculpts are certainly a pleasure to behold. This, this quality of the sculpting, the clarity. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed seeing them. As I said, I think that's the last of the Württembergers. from Piano. Who knows? Hopefully, maybe down the track there'll be some more Piano Wargames goodness for me to paint. Yeah. Now let me think. What else can I tell you? Yes. Oh, Hayden, if you're watching this, can you get in touch, please? Because there's some Napoleonic stuff I've got from you here, and I sent you an email. So sorry about that, folks. That's a bit of housekeeping, but I can't get in touch with one of my guys, and had a question about some stuff here. So yeah, I really need to crack on and do some more for Albie, because I think he's got an abundance of things waiting to send down to me. And I know Mark over in New Zealand, I think some medieval stuff might be following, hot on the trail of of these guys, which should be great fun. But thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you have any questions, please, as always, put it in the comments box below, and I'll try to answer. And as I like to say, don't leave it too long, because I might not remember what I did. But with these figures, I've generally tried to, as I've worked my way through the Württembergers, give you some tips about the colours that I used. The same goes for the horses. If there's a particular horse colour you're wondering about, some of these browns, I might better dig out which Vallejo colours I used as a kind of triad, a blended triad. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye for now.